In some respects, a third memorial is the most deeply moving and is the most easily overlooked. Its location is in the park where we are assembled today, and it came about through the efforts and generosity of local Civil War veterans some 85 years ago. Back then, the last 24 members of the Robbins Post came to the conclusion that they would need to close their local GAR post because of decreasing membership as more and more of their fellow Civil War veterans were passing away. These remaining members gathered together and decided on one last gesture to benefit their community. Upon learning in 1924 that Upper Sandusky had recently acquired the initial 15 3/4 acres for Harrison Smith Park, these civic-minded veterans arranged to purchase an additional 1.5 acres in the southeast corner of the present park. On September 26, 1926, these remaining 24 members formally transferred the land to Upper Sandusky. According to a local newspaper from that period, this donation, and I quote, was generally recognized as one of the finest altruistic acts of the Robbins Post. The remnant of the Boys in Blue today, dedicated to the use of the public for generations to come. The addition to the Harrison Smith Park, which the Post recently purchased from the Pennsylvania Railroad, and which they have fitted up as an excellent shady picnic grove on the banks of the Sandusky River. End of quote. A rock with a modest inscription, Robbins Post number 91 GAR Grove, was installed to mark the occasion. The lettering on the Robbins rock now has faded with time, but the spirit of this generous gift of land continues to be enjoyed by generation after generation, and especially with each and every step that is taken in the southeast section of Harrison Smith Park. The last Union and Confederate veterans passed away in the late 1950s. In all likelihood, the last members of the Robbins Post had passed away before another marker was dedicated in 1953. This All Veterans Monument is directly behind me and carries the inscription honoring veterans of all wars and dedicated to those who made the supreme sacrifice. This all-encompassing monument marks the place where the citizens of Upper Sandusky have assembled every year since then for the Memorial Day program. I am sure that if any members of the Robbins Post were with us here today, they would take great comfort and pride in knowing that Upper Sandusky follows a well-established tradition for remembering their sacrifice and for honoring our military dead and veterans of all wars. No other location could have more meaning for the citizens of our community than the All Veterans Memorial, where we gather year after year to commemorate Memorial Day. In less than a year's time, our nation will be immersed in the sesquicentennial of the Civil War. In the midst of all of the media coverage and all the talk about the great battles, let us try to keep our focus on the human price that was paid, along with the purpose, meaning, and origin of Memorial Day. Flowers no longer adorn many of the graves of our war dead in most of the local cemeteries across our land. As years pass, families and loved ones move away or pass away, and later generations become preoccupied with other concerns, matters, and modern-day distractions. But instead of flowers, we now honor the memory of our war dead and veterans with something more enduring, the American flag. Without the stars and stripes waving in the breeze of numerous cemeteries, the graves of our long-ago war dead and deceased veterans could easily become the graves of unknown soldiers. Most of them would be overlooked and forgotten, except for the presence of the flag, the one enduring symbol that honors their memory, their service, and their sacrifice. The flag, especially on this special day, serves a purpose too, of reminding us that we are a unified nation that came about only through much turmoil, suffering, bloodletting, and heartache. And on this sacred day, the flag, the symbol of our nation, serves to remind us that we must never take our liberty and freedoms for granted because the price has been so very high. Now is the time to remember those who have instilled in us the very spirit of Memorial Day. Let us remember the soldiers, sailors, and Marines who served in the Civil War, the former slaves in South Carolina who reburied the Union war dead, the towns such as Waterloo, New York, that began sponsoring annual events to commemorate Decoration Day, General John Logan, who formalized in a proclamation many events that were already occurring, the soldiers who later attended reunions on the battlefields of their youth to pay their respects to those who had fallen on both sides, and the Southern women who took it upon themselves to place flowers at the grave sites of Union soldiers. All of these individuals and groups contributed to a greater or lesser degree to that day that we now know as Memorial Day. But it was the Southern ladies who gave us its very essence by choosing to remember the Union dead. Through a simple gesture of decorating the resting places of their former enemies, one grave at a time and one cemetery at a time, it was they who took the first step to heal our nation's deep wounds and reaching out to their sisters in the North. It was they, in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War, that started us down the long and often difficult path to national reconciliation. Without their initiative and leadership, the day that began as Decoration Day might never have taken root so strongly in the national consciousness. In a very real sense, these Southern women, it is these Southern women who best capture the very spirit of Decoration Day, and in my estimation, who best represent the very origin of Memorial Day. The moment has arrived to bring this address to a close. In the coming years, when we assemble here at our traditional gathering place on Memorial Day, let us never forget that the Civil War generation bequeathed this sacred day to us. We are now entrusted with the special responsibility to perpetuate the memory of those who died during the Civil War, and as the All Veterans Monument reminds us, we also have the responsibility and the privilege to honor all who have given their last full measure. With that enduring thought in mind, we pray for the safe and speedy return of our men and women who are presently serving in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and in other trouble spots throughout the world. Certainly, they are in our hearts and minds every day. On behalf of the Wyandotte Memorial Association, which organized and sponsored this program, and on behalf of the Upper Sandusky Veterans Color Guard, thank you for sharing part of your day with us and for being such a respectful audience. I am privileged to have been your speaker. God bless you, and God bless America.